You know, guys, I have never seen a bunch of crybabies like the ANC. If there's one thing that the ANC hates and despises in this world, it is the truth. The ANC cannot stand the truth. And if we are being honest, it is not only the ANC. I have actually realized that when it comes to South African politics, the ANC and other splinter groups that are on the left, the likes of the EFF and Umkhonto Sizwe Party and the organizations like the SACPs, there is nothing that these people hate more than the truth. I mean, do you remember even during the elections, Cyril Ramaphosa was out there basically telling South Africans that, guys, you must continue to vote for the ANC because we are giving the people the grants. Cyril Ramaphosa was actually boasting about the fact that over 20 million people in this country are actually receiving the grants. And I came to this platform and I was very furious and I said that, guys, how can South Africans actually allow Cyril Ramaphosa to blackmail them with the social grants? We have one of the highest unemployment rates in the world, and we have the president of this country that is happy with the fact that the majority of the people in this country are actually receiving the grants. You remember even Julius Malema once got a backlash during the elections. Julius Malema was out there telling people that, guys, you must just make the babies, we are going to raise the grants, So if you look at the ANC and these splinter political parties that are on the left, they love the rhetoric of giving people free things. This is the kind of rhetoric that they love. They are not being honest with the people of this country to say that, guys, these grants are not sustainable. One of these things that we are promising to you are not sustainable. I remember yesterday I actually came to the platform and I wrote a post. I said that, guys, what is happening right now in this country, it is the battle for the soul of this country. South Africa is either going to be won by the people that are honest and truthful and the people that are ready to put on the fight so that this country is out of the gutter, or South Africa is either going to be won by these communists that are busy telling the lies to the people and actually trying to make the people feel like these things that they are promising to them are actually sustainable. So this is what is happening right now in this country. This is the battle for the soul of this country. This country is either going to be won by the communists, or this country is actually going to be won by the patriots. I guess we will see. I guess South Africans are the ones that will actually make their choice eventually. So when it comes to the ANC and the truth, right now, the ANC is not happy about the utterances of Lieutenant General Mapaha of South African National Defence Force and what he said during the funeral of the 14 soldiers that were slaughtered in the DRC. So it looks like General Mapaha is basically concerned about our national security. He's very concerned about the fact that we have the porous borders. He's very concerned about the rhetoric that is coming from the politicians and these people speaking like South Africa is tough and actually can defend themselves against these superpowers that they go around poking. So this is what Lieutenant General Mapaha said. And guys, please tell me if you think that there is nothing wrong with what General Lieutenant Mapaha said.
What I'm going to say here, I may be trampling on some cones, so please pardon me, Premier, and the parliamentarians that are here. All of you know that South Africa, in its position in the world, we are a global player. In Africa, we are the leader in terms of economics and geopolitics. And therefore, we are considered a big brother. No, you cannot be a big brother if you are unable to wield a stick that will make people be afraid. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is he talking about and all that? How many of you will build a beautiful and expensive house and not fence it and protect it? I don't think none of you will do that. Constitutionally, the South African National Defence Force is mandated to protect and defend the country. Now, any home will display its character, its worthiness, by the level of security that it places around it. Now, if we're going to play big brother in Africa, and therefore what we give for the Defence Force should symbolize that. A lot has been said about the South African National Defence Force not being well equipped, not being resourced and all that. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm saying, and I'm appealing to the politicians that are here, that next time you sit down and debate, think whether you are protected or not. Because that grant that you're giving to the people out there, the education of your children and everything else will not materialize if you're not protected. I'm sure many of you know that we are sharing our grants for the poor with people who are not supposed to share the grants. And that is because we are not protected. Our borders are porous. And they're porous because you, the politicians, have decided you want a Mickey Mouse Defense Force. I'm sorry to say that. And by the way, the Adjutant General is here. I'm protected. I'm not making a political speech, by the way.
So this is what General Mappa said during the funeral, and he makes a very valid point. And this is one thing that even we as South Africans have been speaking about for the longest of times. But again, when it comes to us as South Africans speaking about this thing of the porous borders, speaking about the illegal immigrants in this country, speaking about the illegal immigrants in this country basically abusing the resources that are paid for by hard-working South Africans, you have these politicians and their celebrities and the mainstream media basically telling us that we are being xenophobic and we are simply trying to protect our country. We are trying to protect our country, and the general is telling the truth that most of these people that are advocating for open borders, most of these people that do not even care about the fact that we have the porous borders, when it comes to their homes, they have the highest walls, they have the walls, they have the electricity, they have the animals. Like, these people are fully protected, but at the same time, they don't want the South Africans to be protected just like how they are protected, which is something that actually does not make any sense. It does not make any sense. I mean, if you look at political parties like the EFF, one of the reasons why many people have actually decided to distance themselves from the EFF, it was the rhetoric that came from the EFF and about the open borders and how these people are our African brothers and sisters. They say that these people are our African brothers and sisters, but just look at what most of these illegal foreigners are actually doing in this country. Let's be honest, just look at what these people are doing. And right now, they are even abusing the resources that are paid for by hardworking South Africans, and the South African government is actually enabling all of that. They are enabling all of that. They are giving these people the crowns. These people are accepted in our hospitals. Right now, we were talking about this issue of the Bela Bill and the fact that the children of the illegal immigrants, they can just be enrolled in schools without providing any sort of documentation. And all of these things are paid for by hardworking South African taxpayers. So the general was actually speaking about that. And when it comes to us and actually defending ourselves, I remember I read an article a couple of days ago, and I found this article to be actually upsetting. I found this article to be very upsetting, and I'm not going to read a lot of it. I'm simply going to show you what the So our well-educated and our most qualified defense minister, Angie Motshekga, says that the defense force can defend the country against invasion despite financial challenges. Minister Angie Motshekga also suggested that older government staff be let go for early retirement to help cut the cost. So these two statements are actually ridiculous, because if we look at the first statement, it says that the defense ministry says the defense force can defend the country against invasion despite financial challenges. I mean, who actually believes that the defense force of this country can actually defend our country? I honestly don't believe that the defense force can defend South Africa. I actually don't believe so. Because if the defense force could actually defend South Africa, maybe they could actually defend South Africa against what is happening right now. Just look at the fact that we have the porous borders and the implications of these porous borders that we have. We know that right now many people are being kidnapped. We know that ever since the borders have actually been porous, many people have been kidnapped. The people have lost their children. The people have lost their vehicles, and one of the reasons why many of these crimes that were not happening a lot a couple of years ago in this country, the reason why they are happening is because we have the porous borders. This is one of the reasons why most of those things are actually happening. Can you just imagine, in this country, the criminals can just get into this country, they can commit the crimes, and they can just leave because we have the porous borders. And there's nothing that these people can actually do about that. There's nothing they can do about that. It is insane. I didn't want to talk about the second statement, but again, it says that Minister Angie Motshekga also suggested that older government staff be let go for early retirement to help cut the cost. So Angie Motshekga says that the older people that have been working for the government must be encouraged and actually be let go so that the government can cut the cost. They are not talking about them. They are not talking about the ANC parliamentarians, these old ANC parliamentarians that are still receiving. No, they are talking about the civil servants. The civil servants are the ones that must actually go, not them. The civil servants are the ones that must go, not them. This is kind of a rhetoric that actually makes you sit down and says, what the hell is wrong with these people? What the hell is wrong with these people? So Angie Motshekga is very well qualified. She is the best defense minister we've had in this country. She says that the country can defend itself against the invasion, but right now we cannot defend ourselves against the invasion that is currently happening, because if you look at South Africa, we are being invaded, guys, whether we like it or not. We are being invaded. Just look at the number of the illegal foreigners that are in this country, the number of the illegal foreigners that are in this country and operating illegal businesses in this country. This is an invasion. This is an invasion. I remember last time when we were speaking about the issue of the tuck shops and how children were actually starting to get sick because they were eating the food that actually was sold by these illegal people that are running these tuck shops. You remember the president of the country came out to say that, guys, we are giving 21 days to the people that are running these spaza shops. And thousands of these people went to the government departments to actually register their spaza shops. And I said that, guys, this is a scandal on its own. The fact that we have these Somalis, these Bangladeshis that are operating spaza shops in this country without any form of documentation, it is a scandal on its own. And Ramaphosa said, no, we are giving these people 21 days so that they can register their spaza shops. And these people came out in their thousands. So at that point, I actually said, guys, these people are actually operating these spaza shops without any form of documentation. And you cannot tell me that the people that are there at the higher ups, you cannot tell me that these people don't know anything about any of that. And that alone, it is a scandal on its own. The fact that the ANC government allowed these people to get into the country, to jump the borders, to get into this country illegally and to operate these businesses without any form of documentation, that is a scandal on its own. So these are the kind of politicians that we are dealing with. This is the kind of a protection or less protection that General Mapaa is speaking about. The fact that these politicians in this country, they want the Mickey Mouse politics. They are not serious about speaking about our they are not serious about speaking about our protection. So the ANC basically sent the Kota Lochwet to national television to basically discredit General Mapaa, and this is what the ANC is basically saying about the statement of the Lieutenant General.
Do you agree with the sentiments being expressed there by the Surgeon General that our Commander-in-Chief, President Cyril Ramaphosa, is essentially presiding over a Mickey Mouse defense force that has been created by politicians?
Thank you very much, Alton, and good morning to all the viewers at home. I think I have to start by saying that it's just unfortunate that the general could not sense the occasion which he was addressing. It was a funeral where we are mourning the fallen heroes of our National Defense Force and the pride of our nation who passed on in the DRC in defense of peace in the region, in the conflict area.
And you know, guys, again, when it comes to the ANC and this war that is happening in the DRC, one of the things that I hate is that the ANC continues to lie to the people to say that it is the peacekeeping mission. It is the peacekeeping mission. It is not a peacekeeping mission. You remember even the general, I forgot, General Mapanywa, if I'm not mistaken, he did say that we are fighting alongside the DRC to repel these people that are causing the damage in the DRC. We are fighting alongside the DRC. So Angie Motshekga, you remember that other day, she pretended like South African Defense Force was standing in the middle between the M23 and the DRC. The M23 and the DRC, they are firing rockets on top of South African military, and one of these rockets from the M23 just happened to hit at our base. So she pretended like we are not even fighting in the DRC. And this is one thing that actually makes me very furious, because we are fighting in the DRC. We are fighting in the DRC. So this notion that we were sitting in the middle and it happened that one of the rockets hit us. No, this is not what happened. Because General Mapanya did say that we are fighting alongside the DRC to repel some of these people. We are fighting alongside the DRC to repel these people. So this idea that we are there simply to pretend like no, we are not the fighters here. It is a lie. And this is a lie that the ANC continues to perpetuate.
Now, it's just unfortunate, of course, a general is a person of privilege who sits in the military command council, which is responsible for the security of the country on a daily basis and paid by the taxpayers. Now, it's just unfortunate that a general would say some of these things in a occasion which is not supposed to say, because it was only last week where we had the minister and the chief of the National Defence Force appearing before the Joint Standing Committee of Defence. We did ask the chief of the National Defence Force, General Mapanya, that is the country safe? It's our borders safe? The general, the chief of the Defence Force guaranteed us as a portfolio committee only now to realize that one of his subordinates, who's the Lieutenant General, is saying something different. We can't have the army top brass speaking in folk tongues in a country where people are depressed, there's high unemployment, people are anxious, hysteric, and somebody who's supposed to defend us and protect us is saying something different. This general, some of our generals must now start to account, because they need to appreciate the fact that the army now sees the death of 14 of our soldiers in DRC. The army and the National Defence Force is going to be on spotlight. We have to improve our military-civilian relations, and some of our generals need to help us to communicate positive stories on the defense of the country, on the safety of the country, on the safety of our borders. Because a general is not a person who can cry. We can have a crying general who has the responsibility to defend the sovereignty as well as the territorial integrity of the country. Complaining, we can't have such generals.
Yeah.
I think we can do better in terms of what we are doing.
Yeah, but then consider.
So, guys, do you realize that this guy is basically not addressing what the general is saying? He's not addressing the points that Lieutenant General Mapaya is making. He's busy simply trying to discredit him, but he's not addressing the points that the general is actually talking about. He's not.
Considering that you heard what General Mapanya, who is the chief of the South African National Defence Force, was telling Parliament, and what the Surgeon General was telling mourners at that funeral, who do you believe in that particular case? Because surely there's something wrong and there's something amiss. And he even he had a precursor to the statement that he was going to make, and saying that you have politicians that are in or that are among the mourners at the time, and also that he has the defense of one of the senior military veterans who was also in the room at the time. So meaning that he's speaking from a position of, I know what I'm saying, I have experienced this, and this is the current reality of South Africa's National Defence Force, and not what was shared with parliamentarians by General Mapanya.
Look, we have limitations as parliamentarians. Ours is to play oversight on the executive as well as on the administration. So a general sits in the military command council to plan and to execute the defense of the country on a daily basis. So by inference, if a general speaks like this, he's either naive or incompetent or does not know his work. Because his work is
So, guys, when you listened to the general when he was speaking,
fully applied.
When you listened to this general, did you listen to someone who, do you feel like you listened to someone who was incompetent? When you listened to this general, did you feel like you listened to someone who was incompetent or naive? Because this is what the ANC basically is saying, that this general is either naive or is incompetent. But this is the question that I'm asking to you guys. When you listened to this general, did you feel like you listened to someone who was naive or incompetent? Because this is what the ANC is basically saying.
In Section 200 of the Constitution, subsection 2, which gives us as the National Defence Force the responsibility of defending the territorial integrity, the sovereignty, the republic, its people, the Constitution, and all international laws. Now, even for a general to cast aspersion on our mission in the DRC, which is part of international law, it's very amateurish and least irresponsible and reckless. Because a general speaking like this creates a trust deficit between the system or the establishment and the public. So for a general to say like this, it means the country is in trouble. He needs to explain more. We need to get his competency level. We need to understand how he qualified to be a general if he does not know his responsibility.
So the ANC does not believe that the country is in a trouble. I mean, you don't have to be an army general to actually see what is happening in the country. You don't have to be an army general to say that the country is in a lot of trouble. And the fact that everything is okay in the DRC, it is not okay. It is not okay. I remember even yesterday, I actually was reading an article about the number of the servicemen that have been injured in the DRC. We are talking about over 100 people that have been injured in the DRC. This is what we are speaking about. So this rosy picture that the ANC is trying to paint about what is happening in the DRC, I don't think this is basically what is happening in the DRC. We are talking about a lot of people that are supposedly supposed to come home for treatment. Over 100 people that have been injured in the DRC. We are talking about a lot of people that have been seriously injured in the DRC. So I don't understand why these people are trying to downplay what is actually happening in the DRC. And again, it looks like they are ready to downplay what is happening in this country, because he says that no, the country is not in a trouble. The country is not in a trouble. But right now you have South Africans that are telling you that, guys, we have a lot of people that we don't even know where these people come from, and they are causing havoc in this country. But the ANC says no, everything is still fine. Everything is still fine. All of you people that are complaining about all of these things, you don't know what the hell you are talking about, because everything is still fine. This is what the ANC is basically telling to us. This is what the ANC is basically telling to us. So you can either believe your research as an individual, as a citizen of this country, or you can actually believe these people that are living in the gated communities about the state of our country. Guys, please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.